Okay, so we have downloaded the Bootstrap zip file. We have expanded it and distributed the contents of the zip file into the appropriate folders that we'll be using to create our site. Here we have them all on their week 12. I've also created an index file. It's currently blank, although I do have control over it using a text editor. I'm using Sublime. If you're using Notepad++ or any of the other regular Notepad type applications, you're doing fine. Don't use Word, because then you may have problems with extraneous characters. When we're done with all of these files, we'll be using, or at least I'll be using, FileZilla to upload all my files onto the server. If you feel comfortable enough using Dreamweaver as an FTP client, I'm not going to stop you. Whatever works for you. You might be using a different client, not necessarily FileZilla. As long as you can access your FTP server and put your files in place, you'll be doing fine. I'm going to return to the assignment page, this one right here, and I'm going to visit, let's see, we already downloaded Bootstrap. We have 3.36. I'm going to go into the Getting Started page and see what this page tells me. Well, we've already downloaded everything. This is the CDN, which is a content delivery network. Basically, all of this code here would allow you to access Bootstrap without having to download it. But we've downloaded it. We're going to play with it. We're going to have it in our computer, so that's fine. They give you a lot more information. They tell you lots and lots of stuff about their product. There's a lot to read, and we'll be doing some of these things and following some of the examples, but just remember that there's plenty of information on Bootstrap. If you see the top Bootstrap section that I left behind, there's also a tutorial by W3 Schools, which has lots and lots of information about Bootstrap. I think that they do work with version 3, which is what we're going to be using, and they even have their own version of something like Bootstrap. I forget what it's called, but it's somewhere in here, and we might touch on that at some point in the semester. So I'm going to click on the Bootstrap basic template. This will then show you a template that's already built. It's just all HTML. It's all text. You can either highlight all that and copy it, or you can just click on the copy button over here. That'll copy it to the clipboard. Return to your text editor and paste. I'm right-clicking and pasting. I'm sure you can do edit and paste, or Control-V to paste. So now I have the contents of that template in my own page. The title currently, it's Bootstrap 101 template. I'm going to change this to something else, something more personal. This goes Bootstrap or something like that. If you want to put in my Bootstrap page or something like that, that's fine as well. So Bootstrap. I'll quickly save this just so that I know that I have it. I'll save, and I'm going to return to my browser. And I'm going to find my page, this one on week 12 that I'm working on. And I'll open up my my page that I'm working on. I'm just pressing Control-O, or you can do File Open or something like that. Mine is in this folder, Web 2, week 12. Here's my index. I'll open that from my browser. And let's see what's going on. Well, hello world. And you'll notice that this is an H1, probably a heading. This is not Times New Roman, so it's already using its own fonts. I'm going to right-click on the page. We'll be doing a lot of right-clicking using this Bootstrap, and view the page source. And here's the Bootstrap template that I just copied. Everything that I need so far is here. I'm going to do a couple of changes. You'll notice that in the Bootstrap CSS reference, it says that it's going to call the minimized version of the Bootstrap. If I were to click on this, then I'll see the actual CSS that we downloaded. And let's see what it says when it opens. And here it is. It's minimized, and that is that they took away all the spaces, and they put away all the nice formatting that this usually has. All you need to know about Bootstrap is in the Bootstrap CSS. And I'm still scrolling down, and this is still all minimized, so it's just a big jumble. It's a big mess. And that's fine because you don't really have to see it. Your users definitely don't have to see it. But since we want to get familiar with it, one thing that I'm going to do really quick is on my index page, instead of calling the CSS bootstrap.min.css file, I'm going to remove the .min from it so that it's just calling the bootstrap.css. This is the same code, but it has not been minimized. I'm going to save this file. Save. I'll return to my browser, my hello world. If I reload this, then everything is fine. It's still the same page. I'm going to right click, view that page source, and see what the bootstrap.css has in it. And it's basically the same page, except everything is spelled out. It looks more like a CSS file that we'll be working with. You can see what each of the links represents, what their values are. It's a little bit more readable. Like I said, it's still a lot of information. I can just go on and on and on, and it continues, but at least we can tell, oh, there's a width here. We are actually working with the modal scroll bar, things like that. I'll close these and get back to my Hello World page. Next, we're going to start to expand this design by copying and pasting additional templates, or rather template code from the Bootstrap page. I'll go back to the assignment and check out the Bootstrap basic template, which is what we just downloaded. Followed by examples. Here's using the framework. There's a starter template right here. This is the very top one. I'll click on that. Takes me to the Bootstrap starter template. Now this is basically the same page that we have. It's a blank one. It's built on Bootstrap. If this were to be minimized, or at least the width were to be minimized, then you'll see what happens is that the responsive design reacts, and we get a menu that we can use to navigate. Our links are currently blank, but they're active. Our content is staying within the boundaries of the page. I'll get this back to regular width. And let's see how this is made. I'm going to right click on the page and tell it to give me the page source. If you're using Firefox, it's going to be slightly different. If you're using Internet Explorer, same thing. But you can get to the source at any time. If you cannot see the source for these pages, please let me know, and we'll work a way for you to get to it. So I've got the source in display. I'm going to see. I want to actually get this pretty cool navigation bar on top, so I'll just scroll down a little bit in the source. The body starts there, and right away here on line 36, for me anyway, there's a navigation with class navbar inverse. That's the inverse navbar that we're looking at over here. So I'm going to select all this text and copy it. Let me make sure that I'm at the very edge, and there, copy from the beginning of the nav division all the way to the end. That's on line 55. I'm going to right click on that and copy it. I'll go back to my text editor, and where it says Hello World, here's my heading. That's right after my body. I'm going to highlight that, press enter a couple of times, and then I'll just dump in the text that is the code for the navigation bar. Actually, I could have kept that Hello World there, but that's okay. I'll go back to my page that I'm looking at, the Bootstrap starter template, and might as well just get that container right now. I'm going to get the container. That's line 57 all the way to line 64. That's the end of the container. Right click and copy. I'll go back. I guess I could have just copied everything at once, but we'll just do it in chunks because later on that's going to be the best way to build your Bootstrap page. I'll get back to my text editor. I know that I'm currently on line 43. I'll press enter again, and I'm pasting the container that I just downloaded, or copied rather. I'll File, Save, go back into my browser, and here's my Cisco's Bootstrap. I'm going to reload this, and now I have basically the same code, or rather similar code to what the template looks like. If I look at the page source, then I see, I got all this stuff right here. Bootstrap.css is being called upon. But obviously, this doesn't quite look the same, and there's a good reason for that. And what's happening is that if you look at the starter template and look at their source, the one that we just copied, at the very top they have additional CSS codes that they're loading. Here's the Bootstrap core CSS, and that's getting it from their distribution folder. This is in their server. We need to get ours from our server. They've got some hacks around for Internet Explorer. They've got some other things here that they're working with. What we want for sure to copy is the code that says that we can use custom styles for this template. So I'm going to copy, at least on my page, is lines 20 and 21. I'll right click and copy that. Get to my browser. Go to the top, and when you first get the Bootstrap style sheet, I'm going to press enter a couple of times there, and I'm going to paste that code that I just copied. So custom styles for this template. Theirs is called starter template.css. I'm going to rename this to custom.css, or at least in this case, css/custom.css. That'll make sure that we get this from the correct folder. Everything's going to be saved on the CSS folder. I'm going to save this file. File, save. Speaking of things in the CSS folder, well, we have to create a custom.css file now, and we can do that really quickly by creating a new file. It's untitled currently. I don't have any content yet. I'm just maybe jumping the gun a little bit, but I'm going to save this inside the CSS as custom.css. Now, obviously, I need to buy Sublime, and I will one of these days. I do need to get the content for this, and I can do so from the source that we just got. We copied the lines for the CSS, for actually the HTML, to call up the starter template. I'm going to click on the starter template.css and just get this file right here, the contents anyway. Right click, copy. We have the CSS for the body and the starter template. I'll go back to my text editor, and I'm going to paste this. Control V, edit paste, or just right click and paste, and here is my CSS. Can save this now. File, save. Go back to my browser, check out my own Bootstrap, and reload this page. And now that this is has a CSS that actually works with it, the custom anyway, then we have the starter template going that looks just like the one on their site. There are a lot of codes to work with on Bootstrap. Let me close the custom.css for now. For example, since we have on our template this nice reverse navigation bar on top, there's references all along the internet, especially on the Bootstrap website, obviously, that will tell you what you need to change when you want to use different colors or different styles. For example, if you didn't want the inverse bar, but you know where it is, you know that you're using the class navbar that has CSS for navbar inverse. I'm going to highlight inverse and change that to default and save that. File, save. And so with minimal coding changes, I have made actually a major change. When I go back to my page and reload, then I have the default, and it's no longer the inverse. Now it's a different color. If you wanted custom colors, then we'll have to make similar changes to the one I just made. It's just basically changing a word, maybe two, and then you'll be all set up. And it's all done in It's all done with a text editor. Eventually, like I said, we'll be working on Dreamweaver, but hopefully you'll get some value out of the fact that we can do this without having to purchase any additional software. Let's change this to inverse again and save it. File save. For this page, I encourage you to visit the Bootstrap pages that we've been looking at and play with the code. And what do I mean by that exactly? Well, if you go, for example, and look at, let me see what other link I have here for you, the Bootstrap template examples. Click on that, and we've been using the starter template. But let's say you want something like the Jumbotron here and say, hey, you know, I like that. Maybe not necessarily the hello world like that on top. I like the way that I have it right now. But I want to split it into 3 columns like this. Well, it's just a matter of right-clicking, looking at that page source. Check out where the headings are. Those are the ones that we just saw. And we see that there's container classes. There's 1 heading, 2 headings, 3 headings. And actually, even after those headings, there is a footer at the bottom that I also want to copy. So I'm going to start to select the text all the way from the bottom where the ends all the way to the beginning of the container. Line 70 through 95 is selected. I'll right-click and copy. Take this copy text back to Sublime. I'm going to see where I put this. I'm going to put it right after the first container. This is the one that's got the actually no, not that one, because that's the navigation. After that we have the starter template. The text of our page, I'm going to change the Bootstrap starter template to Francisco's Bootstrap page. And then after this container is over, put in a couple of lines and paste what I just copied. I'm going to, well, let's change the date to 2016. And I'll, instead of company, I'll put in my name. And I can make some changes to the text in the container as well for each one of these headings. Heading 1, etc. I'll type in my name on one of them. This is at least Francisco's page. For the second one, I can have something else like El Centro College. And then finally, in the third one, I'll just put in Dallas, Texas. I mean, depending on what you're building, obviously that's what your content's going to be. I think that that's all the changes that I really need to make right now. I will file, save this. And I'll switch back one last time to my browser and reload it. And here's my new content. It's got the text that I put into the 3 columns. It's got my new title. It's got the division on top back. Once again, being a navigator in the inverse. And that's pretty much what I wanted to do. I also have my my little footer at the bottom with my copyright information. Just like we copied these 3 columns, so many of these things can be copied and pasted fairly quickly. Later on we'll be talking about how to draw a grid so we can decide how many columns we want to work with, and how to put this all together in larger projects. Remember, everything that we're doing is mobile first, so not only are we doing this for the website, if you are looking at this in your phone, maybe you can sort of see what's going to happen. We have a web app that we're building. It's got, we can change the project name in a second. We can add or change things to the menu that will help you navigate through your site /app. I do very much recommend now that you have created this page, that you go and you open up your index page from your root folder. Open File and navigate my way back to the root. Here's my index. I'll open that. It has all the weeks from before, at least the ones that I have completed. Let me make a copy of the last link so that then I can paste it and say week 8 instead of week 8, week 12, and week 12. If you're naming these differently, by all means do so. You can do this from Dreamweaver, same difference as they say. I'll save this file and save. I can close this. Then I'm going to go back to our old friend FileZilla. You remember FileZilla, don't you, from the beginning of the semester before we were using Dreamweaver? If you don't, then by all means please go and look at the videos from earlier in the semester. Your login information should still be the same. I saved mine in my site manager, so my username and my password are still there. So I should be able to just click on connect, and since I made that change to my index, that's the first thing I want to make sure that I upload. I can just right click and upload. It's going from my Web2 root to my public HTML folder. And then I'm going to right click on week 12 and tell it to upload. And that's going to upload not only the files that I just worked on, it's going to upload the entire Bootstrap file work that the server needs. I can then go into the browser again, and let me see, I have too many windows open and not all of them in the same place. I'll type in my URL, F. Rodriguez, etc. I now see that I have my week 12 link. I'll click on that, and here's my page with all the framework information. This works just the same as it did on the local server. That is, that I can actually just bring it in and see how it would look at different sizes. I could open it up on an iPhone or an Android or some sort of a tablet. If I right click, I see that my page source will point me to the Bootstrap CSS as well as my custom CSS that we just created. So then that's it. What I need from you for this assignment is to turn in your URL pointing to this bare bones Bootstrap page. If you did any additional work, if you worked on different elements from other templates, I mean, that's great. That's what we want to do. We want to experiment. We want to try different things, see how they work out. And then by the end of the week, we'll be adding some color. We'll be working with buttons and just making this a more navigable, colorful experience.